Manny Pacquiao awakens in his luxurious residence in General Santos City, but his thoughts aren't on the comforts surrounding him or the trophies decorating his walls. At 45 years old, after conquering titles in 8 different divisions and becoming a worldwide boxing legend, he feels a growing need to revisit the places and people who shaped his journey from the earliest days. The weight of international fame and political responsibilities as a Philippine senator hasn't been able to erase the vivid memories of his humble youth, when every peso saved was crucial and every person who helped him represented a fundamental difference in his life. On this particular morning, while observing the busy streets of his hometown through the window, Pacquiao is taken by a wave of nostalgia that transports him to more than 2 decades in the past. He clearly remembers a specific period of his life when he was just a young boxer with big dreams but limited resources, frequenting a small barbershop where he prepared for his most important fights. The memory of that place, and especially of the barber who attended to him with such care and dedication, had remained alive in his mind throughout all these years of success. The world champion had tried to locate that barbershop on several occasions during his sporadic visits to General Santos City, but his schedule was always full of official commitments, promotional events, and family responsibilities that didn't allow him to dedicate adequate time to this personal search. However, this time was different. He had deliberately reserved a few free days in his schedule, determined to finally return to the places that had been fundamental in his formation as both a person and an athlete, starting with the small barbershop that occupied a special place in his memories. Pacquiao dresses simply and discreetly, choosing clothes that won't draw excessive attention, as he wants this journey to be genuine and personal without the pomp and circumstance that normally accompany his public appearances. He instructs his security team to maintain a respectful distance, explaining that he needs to make this visit authentically, as the humble young man he once was, and not as the international celebrity he has become. The decision to seek his roots isn't impulsive, but the result of deep reflection on the importance of honoring the people who contributed to his journey, even in ways that might seem small to others. While walking through the familiar streets of General Santos City, Pacquiao observes the changes that time has brought to his hometown. New buildings, modern establishments, and improved infrastructure testify to the region's economic progress. But he feels a pang of melancholy noticing that many places from his youth have given way to more modern constructions. The concern that the small barbershop might have been one of the victims of this urban transformation grows in his chest, but he maintains hope that some vestiges of his past can still be found. The walk takes him through neighborhoods he knows like the back of his hand, where every corner awakens specific memories of his childhood and adolescence. He passes gyms where he trained his first punches, markets where his family bought groceries on a tight budget, and schools where he studied when he wasn't in the ring. Each step reconnects him with the person he was before fame, reminding him of the fundamental values of hard work, humility, and gratitude that his parents taught him, and that he fights to keep alive despite all the changes in his life. As he approaches the area where he believes the barbershop was located, Pacquiao's heart accelerates with a mixture of anxiety and expectation. He's not sure what he'll find, whether the establishment still exists, whether the barber still works there, or whether his memories are leading him in the right direction after so many years. The uncertainty is almost oppressive, but also exciting, as it represents the possibility of reconnecting with an important part of his personal history that had remained as a precious but distant memory. Pacquiao's determination to make this journey reflects his mature understanding that true success isn't measured only in titles won or money accumulated, but also in the ability to maintain genuine connections with the people and places that shaped us. He knows that finding and recognizing the barber, who was part of his preparation rituals, would be more than a nostalgic gesture. It would be a way to honor the principles that have always guided his life and to demonstrate that, regardless of how high he has flown, he has never forgotten where he came from. Pacquiao's walk through the streets of General Santos City becomes a journey through time, where each block awakens specific memories of his youth as a rising boxer. He clearly remembers the routine he maintained before his amateur and early professional fights, intense training during the week, followed by a carefully scheduled visit to the small barbershop that had become an integral part of his mental and physical preparation. Those haircuts weren't just a matter of appearance, but a sacred ritual that helped him enter the mental state necessary to face opponents in the ring. While navigating streets that have changed significantly over the decades, Pacquiao tries to mentally reconstruct the path he used to take from the gym to the barbershop. He remembers specific details: a bakery on the corner where he sometimes bought sweet bread when he had extra money, a small park where he used to run in the mornings, and a hardware store that always had tools scattered on the sidewalk. Some of these landmarks still exist, though transformed by time, while others have given way to completely new constructions that disorient his mental navigation. The world champion stops at a familiar corner, closing his eyes for a moment to try to access deeper memories about the exact location of the barbershop. He remembers that the establishment was on a busy, but not main street, in a low building with a simple storefront that displayed a faded sign. The memory of the interior is more vivid. 2 brown leather chairs, a large mirror with some cracks, barber tools meticulously organized on a wooden counter, and photographs of local boxers decorating the yellowed walls. As he continues his search, Pacquiao encounters the reality of how urban development has transformed his hometown. Many of the old buildings have been demolished to make way for more modern structures, and traditional establishments have been replaced by international franchises and more sophisticated businesses. The concern that the barbershop might have been one of the victims of this modernization grows in his chest, but he refuses to give up without a complete investigation of the area. He decides to adopt a more systematic approach, discreetly conversing with local merchants and longtime residents of the region about the existence of a traditional barbershop that had operated in the area for decades. Pacquiao is careful not to immediately reveal his identity, preferring to present himself as someone looking for an old barber who had been important in his youth. The responses are varied. Some vaguely remember old establishments, others suggest places that don't correspond to his memories, but a promising clue emerges when an elderly vendor mentions a barbershop that still operates a few blocks ahead. The renewed hope propels Pacquiao to quicken his pace as he follows the directions provided by the vendor. He imagines what the reunion will be like, whether the barber will still be working, whether he'll recognize him after so many years and physical transformations resulting from age and success. The anxiety mixed with expectation creates an emotional tension he hasn't felt in a long time, reminding him of the nerves he used to feel before important fights. Ironically, the same nerves that the barber he's seeking helped calm through his meticulous care. During the search, Pacquiao reflects on the importance of that barber in his formation as an athlete and person. He remembers the man's patience, how his hands worked with extra care before each fight, and how the barbershop environment provided a moment of calm and focus amid the chaos and pressure surrounding his competitions. Those moments of concentrated silence in the barber's chair had become a form of meditation, a ritual that connected him with his inner determination and mentally prepared him for the challenges awaiting him in the ring. The search also makes him think about how many other important people from his youth he lost contact with due to the demands of an international career. Trainers, sparring partners, neighborhood friends. Many had contributed to his journey in significant ways, but the circumstances of fame and success had gradually distanced them from his close circle. The determination to find the barber represents more than nostalgia. It's a conscious effort to reconnect with his roots and honor the people who helped him when he needed it most, even though those contributions might have seemed small at the time. Finally, Pacquiao spots an establishment that vaguely corresponds to his memories, a small barbershop with a modest facade, situated among other local businesses on a street that seems familiar despite the changes over the years. His heart accelerates as he approaches the storefront, observing through the glass an interior that awakens distant echoes of his memories. The chairs are old, the mirror has cracks that seem familiar, and there are faded photographs on the walls that immediately capture his attention. The feeling of déjà vu is strong, but he needs to be sure before allowing his emotions to take complete control. Pacquiao stops outside the barbershop for a few minutes, studying every visible detail through the storefront and comparing it with the images stored in his memory for more than 2 decades. The arrangement of furniture, the style of chairs, and even the way tools are organized on the counter seem to correspond to his memories. But what really confirms his suspicions is the sight of an elderly man working inside the establishment. Even from a distance, and despite the years that have passed, there's something unmistakably familiar about that figure's posture and movements. The world champion feels a complex mixture of emotions: joy at potentially having found what he was looking for, nervousness about how he'll be received, and deep anticipated gratitude for the opportunity to reconnect with someone who had been important in his formation. He breathes deeply, mentally preparing for what could be one of the most significant encounters of his adult life. The irony doesn't escape him. He, who faced some of the most fearsome opponents in the world in the ring, feels butterflies in his stomach before entering a simple barbershop. Pacquiao gently pushes the barbershop door, and the familiar sound of the bell announcing his entrance awakens more memories. The characteristic aroma of aftershave lotion and talcum powder immediately transports him to his youth, definitively confirming that this is the place he was looking for. His eyes quickly scan the interior, noting how some elements have remained practically unchanged, while others show the natural wear of time. The photographs on the wall include some he recognizes, including an image that makes him stop abruptly. A photo of himself as a young boxer, thin and determined, clearly taken decades ago. The man working in the barbershop looks up when Pacquiao enters, and there's a moment of initial confusion as he tries to process the visitor's identity. Pacquiao can see gradual recognition forming in the barber's eyes. First uncertainty, then growing surprise, and finally complete understanding of who is standing in his barbershop. The moment is charged with silent emotion. Two men recognizing each other through decades and the changes that time has brought to both. The visual confirmation that this is really Mang Ronaldo, the barber who cut his hair before important fights, fills Pacquiao with deep and genuine joy. He can see that the man has aged considerably. His hands show signs of slight tremor, and his expression carries the weight of years of hard work. However, the dignity and care that always characterized the barber are still present, evident in the way he maintains his workspace organized and clean, despite apparently challenging circumstances. Pacquiao approaches slowly, not wanting to overwhelm the moment with sudden movement or dramatic declarations. He prefers to let recognition develop naturally, observing how Mang Ronaldo processes the reality that the young boxer who was once his regular client is now standing in his barbershop as a world-renowned champion. The expression on the barber's face evolves from surprise to a mixture of joy, pride, and incredulity that is deeply touching for Pacquiao to observe. The initial silence is charged with meaning, allowing both men to completely absorb the magnitude of the moment. For Pacquiao, this is the fulfillment of a promise he had made to himself years ago, to return to recognize and thank the people who contributed to his journey. For Mang Ronaldo, the presence of the world champion in his humble barbershop represents a surreal validation that his work and dedication had a much greater impact than he had ever imagined. The reunion marks the beginning of a conversation that both know will be deeply significant. Pacquiao breaks the emotional silence with a genuine and warm smile, addressing Mang Ronaldo with the same respect and humility that always characterized their interactions during his youth. He expresses his joy at finding the barber still working in the same location, explaining how he had searched for the barbershop for years whenever he visited General Santos City. The world champion makes it clear that he didn't come just for nostalgia, but because he genuinely recognizes the importance those moments in the barbershop had in his mental and spiritual preparation for the challenges he faced in the ring. The initial conversation between the two men is permeated by a mixture of respectful formality and warm familiarity, as they carefully navigate the dynamic, altered by decades of separation and the dramatic transformation in Pacquiao's life. The world champion is deliberately modest about his achievements, preferring to focus on the continuity of values and principles he learned during his humble youth. He asks about Mang Ronaldo's family, about how the barbershop has functioned over the years, and demonstrates genuine interest in the barber's life and experiences during the period they were separated. Mang Ronaldo, still processing the surreal reality of having the world champion in his barbershop, responds to the questions with the characteristic honesty that Pacquiao always admired in him. The barber shares some of the challenges he faced over the years, competition from more modern establishments, growing financial difficulties, and changes in consumer habits that gradually reduced his clientele. However, he speaks of these difficulties without bitterness or self-pity, maintaining the dignity and professional pride that always defined his approach to work. Pacquiao listens attentively to every word, observing not only what is being said, but also what isn't being explicitly mentioned. His years of experience dealing with people from all social levels have sharpened his ability to read between the lines, and he clearly perceives that Mang Ronaldo is facing significant difficulties, though he maintains his composure and dignity. The barber's humility in not asking for help or expressing his needs directly only increases the respect and admiration that Pacquiao feels for him. The world champion then shares his own reflections on the importance the barbershop had in his formation as an athlete and person. He explains how preparation rituals, including careful haircuts, had become an integral part of his mentality before the most important fights of his career. Pacquiao describes how, even on the world's biggest stages, he frequently remembered the silent moments in the barber's chair where he found the calm and focus necessary to face formidable opponents. During the conversation, Pacquiao carefully observes the state of the barbershop, noting details that reveal both the meticulous care that Mang Ronaldo continues to dedicate to his work and the limitations imposed by restricted financial resources. The tools are impeccably clean and organized, but clearly worn by time and extensive use. The space is maintained with dignity, but elements like the cracked mirror and worn chairs testify to years of use without the possibility of adequate renovation. The most touching revelation for Pacquiao is discovering that Mang Ronaldo had followed his career over the years through television and local media, silently celebrating each victory and worrying during defeats. The barber admits that he always wondered if the young boxer he used to serve remembered the times in the barbershop, never imagining that those moments had been as significant for Pacquiao as they had been for him. This revelation creates an emotional bridge between the two men, confirming that the connection they felt was genuinely mutual. The reunion also allows Pacquiao to reflect on how his humble roots continue to influence his decisions and values even after decades of international success. Seeing Mang Ronaldo, still working with dedication despite difficulties, maintaining his professional and personal integrity, serves as a powerful reminder of the principles he fights to preserve in his own life. The barber represents an authentic continuity with the fundamental values that shaped Pacquiao's personality during his formative years. As the conversation between Pacquiao and Mang Ronaldo deepens, the world champion begins to mentally formulate a plan that will honor both his personal gratitude and his desire to make a concrete difference in the life of the man who had been an important part of his journey. He observes the barbershop's conditions again with a more analytical eye, evaluating not only the establishment's current state, but also its potential for renovation and revitalization. The idea forming in his mind isn't impulsive, but the result of careful reflection on how he can meaningfully and respectfully reciprocate the contribution the barber made to his life. Pacquiao understands that any gesture of help must be structured to preserve Mang Ronaldo's dignity and respect his professional pride. The world champion doesn't want his intervention to be perceived as condescending charity, but rather as genuine recognition of the value and importance of the barber's work. He decides to approach the situation in a way that creates real and sustainable opportunities for Mang Ronaldo, instead of simply offering temporary financial assistance that could compromise the man's self-esteem. The first part of Pacquiao's plan involves officially resuming his tradition of cutting his hair with Mang Ronaldo before important events. He explains to the barber that, despite having access to the world's best salons and professionals, he always felt something essential was missing from his preparations since he stopped frequenting the original barbershop. The world champion emphasizes that this isn't a decision based on sentimentalism, but on a genuine need to reconnect with rituals that had always been fundamental to his mental and spiritual preparation. Pacquiao proposes establishing a regular schedule of visits to the barbershop, aligned with his professional commitments and important public appearances. He suggests that each session be scheduled in advance, allowing Mang Ronaldo to prepare adequately and ensuring the barber has a reliable and predictable source of income. The proposal is presented as a mutual necessity. Pacquiao needs his traditional preparation rituals, and Mang Ronaldo possesses the unique skills and experience necessary to provide them. In addition to regular personal care sessions, Pacquiao also proposes using the barbershop as a venue for meetings with young local boxers and other athletes from the region. He explains that he frequently receives requests to mentor young talents, and that the barbershop's authentic atmosphere would be the perfect environment for this type of informal guidance. This expansion of the space's use would not only bring renewed recognition to the establishment, but also create additional income opportunities through increased clientele interested in frequenting the location associated with the world champion. The world champion also delicately addresses the issue of necessary improvements to the barbershop, suggesting modernizations that would preserve the establishment's authentic character while providing better working conditions for Mang Ronaldo. Pacquiao proposes to fund the purchase of new equipment, space restoration, and small renovations that would make the environment more comfortable for both the barber and clients. He emphasizes that these improvements would be made while completely respecting the barbershop's original identity. Mang Ronaldo's reaction to Pacquiao's proposal is a complex mixture of overwhelming gratitude, genuine incredulity, and a deep sense of professional validation. The barber expresses his difficulty believing that someone who achieved such worldwide success still values and needs his services. Pacquiao responds by emphasizing that true success isn't measured only in external achievements, but also in the ability to maintain authentic connections with the people and traditions that shaped us, and that Mang Ronaldo represents exactly the kind of authenticity he seeks to preserve in his life. The conversation about the barbershop's future evolves into a broader discussion about values, traditions, and the importance of honoring people who contribute to our personal and professional growth. Pacquiao shares his philosophy that the true purpose of success is to create opportunities to elevate other people, especially those who have demonstrated dedication, integrity, and excellence in their own fields of work. For him, supporting Mang Ronaldo isn't just a gesture of gratitude, but a natural extension of his fundamental values about social responsibility and merit recognition. In the weeks following the historic reunion, Pacquiao demonstrates that his promises weren't just emotional words spoken in the heat of the moment, but genuine commitments he is determined to fulfill with the same dedication he always applied to his boxing career. The world champion meticulously organizes a renovation plan for the barbershop that balances necessary modernization with preservation of the authentic character that makes the establishment special. Every decision is made in direct consultation with Mang Ronaldo, ensuring the barber feels like an active partner in the transformation process, not a passive beneficiary of charity. Pacquiao personally supervises the selection of new equipment for the barbershop, choosing high-quality tools that will facilitate Mang Ronaldo's work without compromising the authenticity of services offered. He insists on keeping the original chairs, which are carefully restored by local artisans, preserving their classic appearance while improving their comfort and functionality. The cracked mirror is replaced with a new one, but Pacquiao instructs that the old one be carefully stored as a symbolic reminder of the barbershop's history and perseverance. The world champion also coordinates small structural renovations that improve lighting, ventilation, and the establishment's overall appearance without altering its fundamental essence. The paint is renewed in colors that respect the original aesthetic, and the electrical system is updated to ensure safety and energy efficiency. Pacquiao makes sure all work is performed by local professionals, creating a virtuous circle of economic benefits for the community, while ensuring the renovation reflects regional sensibilities and traditions. Throughout the renovation process, Pacquiao maintains a regular schedule of visits to the barbershop, not only to supervise the work, but also to ensure Mang Ronaldo feels supported and valued during the transition. These visits become opportunities for deep conversations about life, values, and experiences, strengthening the renewed friendship between the two men. The world champion uses these moments to learn more about the barber's techniques and work philosophies, demonstrating genuine respect for the experience and expertise that that Mang Ronaldo developed over decades of practice. News of the partnership between Pacquiao and Mang Ronaldo's barbershop naturally attracts attention from local and national media. But the world champion is careful to manage this exposure in a way that benefits the barber without overwhelming him or compromising the experience's authenticity. Pacquiao gives selected interviews where he emphasizes the universal values the story represents: gratitude, humility, merit recognition, and the importance of maintaining connections with our roots. He always directs focus to Mang Ronaldo's qualities as a professional and person, rather than concentrating on his own generosity. As the barbershop's renovation approaches completion, Pacquiao works with Mang Ronaldo to develop sustainable strategies that will ensure the establishment's continued success. They discuss ideal schedules for the world champion's visits, ways to accommodate growing interest from other clients, and methods to maintain service quality even with increased demand. Pacquiao also suggests the possibility of Mang Ronaldo training young assistants, creating employment opportunities in the community while ensuring continuity of the barbershop's traditions and techniques. The world champion establishes a discrete fund to cover the barbershop's operational expenses during the transition period, ensuring Mang Ronaldo doesn't face financial pressures while adapting to changes. However, Pacquiao structures this support to be temporary and decreasing, encouraging the barber's financial independence through organic clientele growth and renewed recognition. The goal is to create genuine sustainability, not continued dependence. The barbershop's physical transformation is accompanied by an emotional transformation for both Mang Ronaldo and Pacquiao. The barber rediscovers the passion and energy that had diminished during difficult years, while the world champion experiences deep satisfaction that comes from using his success to benefit someone who genuinely deserves recognition and support. The partnership becomes a practical example of how authentic relationships can create mutual value that transcends differences in social status and economic circumstances. The official reopening of the renovated barbershop becomes an event that captures the imagination, not only of General Santos City, but of all the Philippines and beyond. Pacquiao organizes a simple but significant ceremony where he receives his first official haircut in the restored barbershop. Surrounded by selected media, local authorities, and community members who have known both him and Mang Ronaldo since the early days. The world champion uses the occasion to articulate his philosophy about success, social responsibility, and the importance of honoring people who contribute to our journey, transforming the event into a powerful statement about fundamental values. The story of the reunion between the world champion and his former barber resonates deeply with international audiences, especially in communities where family values, traditions, and respect for elders are highly valued. Pacquiao receives invitations to share the story on international television programs, magazine interviews, and motivational speeches. But he always insists on including Mang Ronaldo in these opportunities when possible, ensuring the barber is recognized as an active protagonist of the narrative, not just a charity beneficiary. The barbershop's renewed success has effects that extend far beyond the individual establishment. Other traditional businesses in the area begin to experience an increase in interest and clientele, as Pacquiao's regular presence attracts visitors and tourists to the region. The world champion takes advantage of these opportunities to consciously promote other local entrepreneurs, small restauranciers and area artisans, creating a multiplier economic effect that benefits the entire community. His philosophy is clear. Individual success should be used as a platform to elevate others, especially those who demonstrate dedication and quality in their respective fields. Pacquiao establishes a consistent routine of barbershop visits that naturally integrates with his schedule of professional and personal commitments. Whenever he has an important public appearance, a significant government meeting, or a relevant promotional event, he schedules a session with Mang Ronaldo. These visits become moments of not only physical, but also mental and spiritual preparation, where the world champion can reconnect with his fundamental values and find the calm necessary to face the pressures of his public life. The impact on Mang Ronaldo's life is transformational in multiple dimensions. Financially, stability returns for the first time in years, allowing him and his wife, ailing Carmela, to plan a secure future without constant worries about overdue bills and economic uncertainty. Professionally, the barber experiences a renewal of purpose and energy, his hands regaining firmness and confidence as his self-esteem is restored through genuine recognition of his skills and contributions. The barbershop becomes an informal meeting point for young boxers and athletes from the region, who seek not only Mang Ronaldo's services, but also the opportunity to absorb the atmosphere where a world champion still seeks preparation and inspiration. Pacquiao frequently uses these occasions to offer guidance and mentorship to young talents, creating an informal academy of personal and professional development that operates within the authentic and welcoming environment of the traditional barbershop. The story also inspires other successful athletes and public figures to reflect on their own journeys and the people who contributed to their successes. Pacquiao receives messages and visits from colleagues who share their own similar experiences, creating a broader movement of recognition and gratitude that transcends the sport of boxing. The world champion uses his platform to encourage others to find and honor their own versions of Mang Ronaldo, the people who helped us when we needed it most. The barbershop's renovation also attracts academic and social interest, with researchers studying the phenomenon as an example of how authentic relationships and traditional values can coexist and thrive in an increasingly modernized and commercialized world. Local and international universities develop case studies based on the story, examining themes such as celebrity social responsibility, cultural tradition preservation, and sustainable community economic development. Months after the barbershop's renovation, Pacquiao observes with deep satisfaction how his decision to honor Mang Ronaldo created waves of positive impact that extend far beyond his original intentions. The barbershop has become a local symbol of perseverance, authenticity, and the importance of maintaining valuable traditions in a constantly changing world. The establishment now operates with a stable and diverse clientele that includes loyal local residents, curious visitors, and young athletes seeking to connect with the historical energy of the place where a world champion still finds preparation and inspiration. The world champion develops a deeper and more genuine relationship with Mang Ronaldo, which evolves from shared nostalgia to mature friendship based on mutual respect and complementary values. Their conversations during personal care sessions become moments of philosophical reflection where both men share perspectives on life, success, family, and social responsibility. Pacquiao frequently comments that these conversations help him maintain perspective and humility, constantly reminding him of his roots and the principles that should guide his decisions. Mang Ronaldo, in turn, experiences a personal transformation that goes far beyond financial improvement. Professional validation and recognition of his contributions restore confidence and dignity that had been gradually eroded by years of economic struggle. He returns to genuinely taking pride in his work, developing new techniques and further refining his skills with renewed energy that surprises even his wife. The barber becomes an informal mentor for other small business owners in the region, sharing his experience about perseverance and the importance of maintaining quality and integrity even during difficult periods. The partnership between Pacquiao and the barbershop establishes a powerful precedent for other public figures and successful people in the Philippines and internationally. The world champion receives regular invitations to speak about his philosophy of giving back and social responsibility, always emphasizing that true success is measured not only by personal achievements, but by the ability to elevate other people and strengthen communities. His authentic and practical approach to philanthropy inspires others to adopt similar methods of recognition and targeted support. Pacquiao implements an annual tradition where he organizes a special event at the barbershop to celebrate small business owners and dedicated workers from the General Santos City region. These events, which combine public recognition with networking and development opportunities, become anticipated community milestones that strengthen social bonds and promote local economic collaboration. The world champion uses his presence and influence to create platforms where people like Mang Ronaldo can be celebrated and connected with growth opportunities. The reunion story also becomes educational material in local schools, where it's used to teach values like gratitude, perseverance, and the importance of honoring contributions from all people, regardless of their social status or public recognition. Pacquiao occasionally visits these schools to speak directly with students, always accompanied by Manny Ronaldo, demonstrating in practice that both are valuable examples of different forms of excellence and integrity. As years pass, Manny Ronaldo's barbershop consolidates as an authentic tourist destination that attracts visitors interested not only in the connection with Pacquiao, but in the experience of a traditional establishment that maintains high standards of quality and personalized service. The barber carefully trains 2 young assistants, ensuring that work techniques and philosophies are transmitted to the next generation, creating long-term sustainability and employment opportunities in the community. Pacquiao frequently reflects on how this experience with Manny Ronaldo reaffirmed his understanding that the most meaningful human connections are often those that transcend superficial differences in status or circumstances. The barbershop has become for him a sanctuary where he can reconnect with his fundamental identity, away from the pressures and complexities of his public life. The preparation ritual in the familiar chair, with the experienced hands of a man who has known him since youth, provides emotional and spiritual stability that no amount of professional success could replace. The lasting legacy of this story extends far beyond the 2 main protagonists, inspiring a generation of Filipinos and people around the world to reflect on their own journeys and the often unrecognized contributions of people who helped them along the way. Manny Ronaldo's barbershop remains as a living testament that small acts of excellence and dedication can have profound and lasting impacts, and that true success manifests not only in individual achievements, but in the ability to recognize, honor, and elevate those who contributed to our journey, creating virtuous circles of gratitude and shared prosperity that benefit entire communities.
Leave your like and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next cases.